said that reading makes you more empathetic. It's a way to escape your own life. It can take you to faraway lands. It can put you into other people's shoes. It can even keep your brain healthy and reduce stress and help you sleep better. So today we're going to find out why our featured guest, Kristina Rienzi, enjoys writing thrillers and how she balances that with being a positive psychology coach. Don't go away. We will be right back. If you have just joined us, welcome to the Writer's Corner live show. I'm your host, Bridget Limbanda from Cape Town in South Africa, and our stream today is made possible by Creative Edge, StreamYard, and BeLive Media. A special warm welcome to you, our audience, whether you are watching us on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or on Amazon Live. Just know that this is an audience-centric show. So we are monitoring the comments. Say hello. And in today's show, we're going to be talking to Kristina Rienzi. If this is your first time watching the show, you are very welcome to let us know that you are brand new, that you've never seen the show before. We've been going for over 3 years. But if you've never seen the show before, let us know. And we'd be very, very happy to give you a shout out to welcome you to the show, whether you're watching live on the replay. It really doesn't matter. We appreciate you as being a member of our audience. But first, before we introduce our amazing guest for today, I do want to introduce and say hello to my friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson. Mary is a special needs and disabilities advocate and also an award-winning author of the Poolicious children's book series, as well as the anthologies, The Entrepreneurs and Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. And both these anthologies are stories of people who have shown amazing resilience. So if you're one of those people not sure about yourself, you know, about the entrepreneurial journey, or if you're feeling invisible for any reason, then these are two books that you would like to go and have a look at. Also very interesting to know about these two anthologies. All the proceeds of these two books go to carefully chosen charity organizations. So if you want to support these nonprofits, then go and have a look at these books. So with that, a warm welcome to my friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson. Mary, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? So exciting today with our author and with those books that we participated in. And, you know, they really are great and inspiring. And don't we need inspiration right now so much in our world? And it's not just one pocket. That's what keeps I don't know, it blows my mind sometimes just how it's everywhere, that we are all looking for that, you know, uplifting, positive mindset to just keep us going, right?
Absolutely. Very, very. And before we introduce Kristina, if you're watching the show over on Amazon Live, you will notice that I've put in some of the equipment, because oftentimes people ask me, what do you use for a live stream? You know, it doesn't just happen by accident. So what is it that you use to produce your live stream? So I use the Samsung C01U USB studio condenser microphone. So I've added that in the carousel if you want to check that out. And of course, don't forget that our featured book for today is also in the carousel. And what I've also done to add to the carousel is I live with chronic back and neck pain. So for me, there's nothing more important than sitting on a chair that supports your spine, because you want to be comfortable while you're live streaming, right?
So we're not doing this the whole time, right?
Exactly. You don't want to do that. So there's some recommendations that I put in the carousel as well for chairs. Which microphone do you use, Mary? I've never actually asked you.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I I can't even remember because the name is not on here. I've
You
had
got
it
it
for
from
so
I know
long.
you got it from Amazon.
Yeah, I can hold it up. It's one of these little guys. Look, it's cute. It's not one of those that hangs over like a lot of people that we know that do shows, and those are fantastic because this one doesn't come with the apparatus or anything to help your voice make it sound deeper or richer or anything like that. But this microphone is amazing, and I've got it. I use my Surface Pro with a monitor, and I have an external camera, and all of it is hooked into an apparatus that comes out of my Surface Pro. So everything hooks in because there's no ports on the side of these Surface Pros to plug in. So, but it all works together.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. It's just also shows that you don't have to go into a huge expense to enter the world of live streaming. You
Right.
can just start with very, very basic equipment, but very importantly, you do want to invest in an external microphone. Remember, we talked about that in the beginning, I can't even remember however long ago that was, because people will tune out if they can't hear you properly. So you want to invest in an external microphone of sorts
Yes.
if this is something that you're going to be doing. So I'm excited to introduce our author for today, Kristina Rienzi. She's lived her entire life with drive and passion, she says. She's dedicated her life's work through psychology, coaching, leadership, and writing. And she loves to inspire and empower others.
Our kind of girl.
Absolutely, absolutely. So she balances that with being a Jersey Shore based thriller and self help author. I want to ask her about that. Um, she's a professional certified coach and also the former president of the Sisters in Crime Central Jersey.
Sounds so cool, right?
She, absolutely. She says when she's not writing or drinking wine, she's spoiling her baby girl.
Do we understand that completely?
Abs- Absolutely. And her debut audiobook, Amongst Us, was featured on Audible's ACX University and is an Audible Editors Select pick. Now, I don't know if you went to listen to the sample of the audiobook, Mary. It is, oh my goodness. It
I know.
is
And what an honor to have,
phenomenal.
and what an honor.
Phenomenal.
And I think Kristina may be the first author that we've had on that's got an award like this because I don't ever remember us talking about this kind of award to any other author in the 3.5 years we've been on. So I'm excited to hear about that. And how did she feel? How does it feel to have that kind of award that is not given out to everybody? And that's got to be a very competitive world to get an award in.
Absolutely. And the thing that struck me about it was that sometimes when people think, audiobook, it's like, oh, it's just somebody reading the book, or it's the author reading the book. But it's nothing like that. It's actually an
No.
art, it's a craft.
It is a craft, and if you're good at it, you can help that author sell books. I mean, we have our friend Terry Shepard that I think Kristina knows, and his voice is just so it makes you. He draws you in.
Mes-
He just pulls you in.
Mesmerizing.
Yeah,
Totally,
it's a
totally
gift. It's a real
mesmerizing.
talent.
It's like, you almost want to close your eyes when you listen and you just transport it to another world. But let's get Christine on the show, shall
Yes.
we?
Yes. We need to shut up. Better bring her on.
I know. Let's get Christina onto the show.
Hi,
Welcome
guys.
to the show. So nice to have you here. Oh no, goodness, I am so glad to have you on the show. And I want to just give a huge big shout out to Tish over on Amazon Live, who's also just joined us, and she says hello to you, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for joining us. We're so excited you're here. And did your intro make you feel really special?
Oh my gosh. I was like shaking. I'm like, this is so great. I felt so good. I was so excited to be here. The energy that you ladies put out is amazing and I could feel it. And I'm all about energy. So this was great. I feel good to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, we got a little carried away, but there's just so much to talk about. And we're so excited to have you here. And I love the diversity of things that you're doing. But it's so interesting when you have that diversity in your career, then it all seems to come together and it kind of everything supports one another is what I really believe. So, I think that's awesome. And we're definitely excited to have you here. And I know both of us we have questions that we want to ask you. So we just should dive right in, right, Brigetti?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I want to find out from you. I'm always intrigued when we have female authors who write thrillers. So, like, what is it about thrillers that attracted you to want to choose that genre?
That's a great question. And it does connect a lot with my coaching and leadership and all the psychology stuff. So I've always had an interest in psychology. I mean, I got my master's in it, right? I want to learn about the human mind, the human behavior, and I also like to understand just why people do the things they do, good and bad, right? And so thrillers for me have always been an area where I've loved watching thriller movies. I've read thriller books, mysteries, crime drama, all of that stuff. And for me, it's about the heart pound, right? It's about pushing through a fear and coming out the other side. And so for me as an author, writing that, it gives me that same kind of rush, that thrill of the chase of the the cat and mouse chase and stopping the bad guy, because that's what a thriller is all about. It's about stopping a bad thing from happening. And it was about that in emotional sense, because writing a story is emotion. It's all about an engine for your emotions and having the reader feel that on the other side, you're connected in so many ways, but also about getting to some triumph over those obstacles in the end, to facing your fears and overcoming them in some way. And even though it's through writing for me and reading for the reader, there is an emotional roller coaster you go on. And hopefully at the end, you come out the other side a little bit braver, a little bit stronger, a little bit more triumphant. And I hope and pray that that carries you through life as well. And so my stories, I feel like, are the way of entertaining, that we will do that through entertaining. But I also think there's a piece of us that grows a little bit with each book.
Interesting. So do you think that your training as a psychologist gave you a bit of an edge in terms of your
the psychological background? Yes, of your obviously it would have given you, right? Maybe a different, instead of somebody who doesn't have that background, they're going to write it totally different than you did.
Yeah, so I've always been driven by understanding the human mind and behavior. And so it's always been a part of who I am. And I think learning about how your brain works, how behavior works, and also doing my master's degree, my master's was in counseling psychology. So that helped me to understand how people overcome things, right? And how we can move somebody from dysfunction to function. And coaching is all about moving you from function to optimal. So that behavior, yes, I dive into my characters with psychology in mind. When I'm in the bad guy or the main character, or any of the characters, I really try to understand them psychologically and behaviorally so that I can have them come alive. And especially with Among Us, the book that you guys were talking about, and the audio, and we can go into audio and all that because it's so interesting. But in order for it to be heard well as a story, not just read well, the characters absolutely must come alive, and the action must be so real that you can almost see it. And when you have an actor, which these audiobook narrators are actor playing the part out, you're only hearing it, but they're playing it out, right? In every sense of the word. it makes everything about that character real. And so it was very important for me to use psychology to build my characters and to add those elements to the story.
And what made you decide to choose that title? Because, there's a very, very popular game called Among Us. And so that, I wonder how much that all, like, oh, I've heard that before, you know what I mean? And will draw people to it.
That's so funny. I didn't know that. I'm learning this for the first time today. For me,
you have to go check it out.
Oh my gosh, now I'm going to check it out. My titles are of my books are just, they're instinctual, like they come to me and I know that's right. And obviously I'm writing the book and making sure, but for me, it was about this, the crux of the story is about truth versus lies, right? What we want to share versus what we want to hold back, what we know, what we don't know. There's a very kind of a dualism going on in my book and as in many books in my theme. And so for me, it was Among Us wasn't just about like who is among us, meaning do we have it's a government conspiracy theory book, and it does touch upon extraterrestrials and things of that nature and government secrets, classified documents, and things of that nature. So it was like, who among us can we trust? Who among us, what among us is real? Are there, and to be blunt, extraterrestrials among us? Like what is our life like in truth versus what we perceive to be living? And do we need to know, like, is knowing the truth important to us? Is knowing the truth, I guess,
going to change anything?
Or should we know the truth or should we not know the truth? It was all about those themes. So yeah, Among Us it just kind of came to me and it gave me chills to write the title because I thought, what if what is among us we don't want to know and they are among us or whatever. Like it just made me feel those chills and gave me kind of the hair on the back of my neck standing up. And that's kind of the feeling I wanted to give my readers when they pick the book up.
Are you a Stranger Things fan?
I am.
I have a feeling.
I am. I love that show. I love it. Anything that makes you question what could be or what is. I very much live my life open to the possibilities of anything, because I feel like no matter how much I study or what I learn, I don't know it all. I never will know it all. I don't think any of us will ever know it all. And so I'm very intrigued by the possibility of what might be, what could be real. And I'm open to it. I'm open to anything because I feel like, who am I to know it all? I'm just here experiencing this life, living it and giving it the best I can, but I don't know everything and I'll never know everything. So it's an exciting way to live versus looking at it as like, I don't know everything and therefore I don't believe. I feel like I'm open because when you're open, your life experience can be so much richer.
That is just amazing. I want to talk a bit about the audiobook because that intrigues me. I mean, you went through an audition of 60 people. That is a massive undertaking. Talk us through that process of deciding who the person was that would do your audiobook.
It was very hard. It was like a celebrity experience for me because my book was chosen to go up into to Audible Studios, Celebrity Studios in Newark, New Jersey. And we had this whole filming and there was an audiobook narrator there, which was part of the education process of ACX University. And then Audible took my project on to find the perfect narrator. It was exhausting. It was difficult. There's so much talent out there. And after going through this process, I knew I could never do my own fiction because I'm not an actor. I'm not a trained actor. Many authors are, but I'm not. And yeah, I mean, I think, what it was a lot about instinct too, because I feel like Lewis Arlt is the narrator for Among Us. He is an Emmy award-winning writer, director, and actor. And he is an audiobook narrator. And I didn't know all of that about him. I was really just listening. It was about me just actively listening. And I kind of they do a couple of chapters, they do a little bit. I knew when I heard his voice, it was like immediate. I just knew. And I wasn't sure, did I want a male voice? Did I want a female voice? Because I have my main character is female, but I have a lot of male characters. And so I wasn't really tied to either. I thought like whoever does the job the way that I want it done, the best for my book. When I heard him, it was literally a few words out of his mouth. And I'm like, He's the one. I just knew. I just felt it in my heart. It gave me like a pounding of my heart. It was just a feeling. And I think we have to trust those feelings because they're telling us something beyond what we could know. And I definitely am an overthinker. I overanalyze things. I think too much. And a lot of times I just kind of put that aside and go like, no thought here. Just listen. Just listen to the book and you will know. And I just knew. And he did a beautiful job. I couldn't have asked for a better job for this book. This was the perfect job.
That's awesome. You know, in voice, the tone, the sound of someone makes all the difference in the world. Because think about those teachers that we've had in school, and when they talk, you are repelled and can't really listen to what's being taught to you. Even, metaphysical teachers or speakers or in our world, anyone, there are people we listen to that go make us kind of repel from them. And it's not their fault. It's just the way it sounds to us. And then there are those that draw us in. And it's funny because that happens with your children as well. You could have two kids who say the same thing to you. And one, you're like, this defense mechanism may come out, and the other one, they may say it and you go, oh, okay, honey. So it's really fascinating. I'm fascinated by it as well, Kristina, the sound and tone of someone's voice. And sometimes I'll close my eyes when I'm listening to movies or watching movies, and then I listen to the voices because it's just so interesting to pick up those different tones and stuff. So I'm so glad you found somebody who has had that effect on you and then the listeners as well. And that obviously helps the sales of your audiobook because, a bad narrator could kill it, right?
Yeah. And knowing this book was going to audio, I mean, that was part of the process, was just, I wasn't sure where it was going. It was published, going to be published as an ebook and a print book. And when I found out about Audible, I really re-looked at it and thought, let me just, not that we don't re-look at our books 100 times and edit them too much, but I wanted to make sure that being read aloud, it created that same feeling as being read quietly, in your mind. And what a difference it made. And I really believe the audiobook process made me a better writer. It made me look at things differently. It's an interactive process between the author and the narrator. And you go back and forth on the story, you talk about the characters. They have a lot of input into things. And as you want them to, because that's what they do best. They are not just reading it, right? They're acting it out. They're performing it. It's a performance. They're directing and performing a work of art. And so there's something to be said for that. But yeah, absolutely. I believe that he was the right voice for this book. And every narrator out there has the book for them. But this was his book. He was great for it. So I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely. I mean, when I listen to him, he kind of just transports you into the book. It's very immersive. And it's not the same as somebody, I like what you explained. It's not just somebody reading, it's somebody acting out what's in the book. So it's like an audio version of a movie.
Yes.
So you completely transported. This is not just somebody picking up a book and reading. Tisha's saying she likes to have a hard copy, and yes, there's it's a different journey, I think. Because I was reading up on the difference between, and it's interesting that I found that there doesn't seem to be a difference between comprehension, whether you listen to a good audio or whether you read. The brain doesn't seem to differentiate too much between the two in terms of retention. Which age group did you write this book for? Was that a specific age group you had in mind?
So my books are typically new adult. And so what that means is the protagonists are between the ages of 18 and say 25. Sometimes it goes to 30. It goes, depending on who you talk to in the industry. But yeah, adults, I would say adults, any new adults and adults. I wanted to really write this for somebody who likes to question things. They like to question everything. They like to explore. They have an open mind. They're curious. They're interested about life. They want to have a rush of emotions. That was really about, who my audience was going to be, is somebody who wants to ride that that wave and explore, go on an exploration, have an adventure. For me, this book was an adventure, so as much for the character as it was for me. It was an emotional journey. It was scary at times when I was doing some research and thought, oh my goodness, what am I diving into here? Because I did do a lot of research on the Freedom of Information Act and different government documents and classified and things like that. And I twisted things to make them, mine. And of course, all fiction, but it made me open my mind enough to scare me a little. And I thought, this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to have people just get have an emotional experience from this. And absolutely the audiobook does that as well. I think reading it absolutely too, because you in your mind, you are hearing them the way you want to hear them. And in an audiobook, you're hearing it how it's being said, right? So some people don't like that. But for me, it becomes alive. And I felt so empowered, which is what I try to do for others, when I felt my characters come to life, someone else reading it and reading it well, and the tone and everything about it just set the stage for this story. And I felt like it was a new moment for me as an author. It wasn't just writing a book anymore. It was bringing these characters to life in such an amazing way.
That is so awesome. I mean, I know that the whole birthing process as a writer can be extraneous, can be emotionally exhausting, can be overwhelming. It take over your life almost, And so when things finally come to life, it is truly like you have given birth. I think it's probably the closest thing that a man can come to without all the physical labor and exhaustion of
the joy, right?
The joy, right? So I wanted to know, I'd love to ask, what is your next project that you have going on? And like any, we want you to leave us with a couple of gold nuggets, or, how would you advise somebody who's thinking about going into this field, male or female writers, is using their main characters, being male or female, is there a lot of difference, that kind of thing? So.
Yeah. So, I mean, any writer, you know what, you have a passion for it. You have a story to tell, and and I will say this, only you know the right way the story needs to come out and who needs to be your storyteller. If it is a first person, if it's a third person, if it's, if it's you're telling the story from a perspective that is even second person, talking to your audience, like you might in a nonfiction, which I'm working on, which is new and different for me. Only you know the story to tell, how it has to be told and who needs to tell it. And especially when it comes to audio, I was very open, and I was open to having, male or female, or, any voice to me that felt right for the story. I just trusted my gut that I would know. And actually it came down to the wire, and the two people I was choosing between was one female and one male. And it just happened that I just felt it. It just felt right for me. And trust yourself as an author. And that's the big thing around everything. Trust yourself when it comes to the story, trust yourself when it comes to the characters, and trust all of those things. You will have an editor telling you what you need to change to polish it and clean it and shine it like a diamond, but trust yourself because you know the story. And as in life, you've got to be your number one champion, and you've got to believe in yourself beyond anybody else. Because if you don't, and you don't believe in yourself, you're putting that energy out, and you want to put the energy out of you really being your biggest champion in whatever way that means for you and your story.
I really like that. I really like that you said you've got to be your own champion when you are an author, because a lot of people, don't realize that when you write a book, when you are an author, there's a lot of hard work beyond, because we didn't really talk about marketing of your book, but there's a lot of hard work beyond getting the book out and written. You now have to sell the copies. But that's a journey also on its own that has to start way before your book is ready. So I think, a lot of people sort of misjudge that important aspect, because you want a good book, but you also want people to pick up the book, to read the book. So that's a journey, entirely on its own. And we'd love to invite you back again and maybe talk about that aspect of your journey as well. I mean, you've shared some amazing insights with us. Thank you for doing that. But we'd love to have you back on the show again to talk about, your marketing journey, because that no doubt has been something phenomenal as well.
Yes. And you talk about the book, like I'm writing now a book on happiness. I've done a lot of study in happiness and positive psychology and well-being. And you talk about it before it comes out. Talk about what you're working on. Talk about what you're passionate about. That's what's important. Talk to people, share it. If you have a passion for it, it will come through and people will want to hear. And that's what it's about. It's not, the sales part is one thing, but I think it's really about your heart. Talk about what's in your heart and what you love about your story. You want people to read it. You want to connect. At least that's what I want. I want to help, connect, inspire, empower, all those things. Talk about it. So that's what I try and do. I just try and talk and tell people what I'm working on, which now it's a book on happiness, which is a completely new venture. But anyway, whether it's happiness or thriller, I really am working to just help people get to that next level and feel good in whatever way possible.
Well, I think that's amazing. And yes, we will have to have you come back on. I love happiness. It's so important, isn't it? And for us to be able to find that happy place right now is very, very, very important. And feeling supported. All of us want to feel supported and acknowledged and even heard. All humans, that's kind of a natural thing that we want. So we are looking for that happy spot. I just call it, the happy bubble. Let's just stay in our happy bubble.
That's it. And it's moment to moment, and it's not always, it's fleeting, but it's and that's what my book is about. It's about 5 ways to be happy now. So just how to find happiness in the moment, because that's all we have is moment to moment.
I love it. Okay, I'll be buying a copy. So you have to let us know as soon as it's ready, just please. And we would love to help, promote it, share it for you as well, because that's very important. So hurry, finish, get it done.
I know, almost, we're close.
Oh my goodness, Kristina, that sounds like an amazing book. But for today, everyone, we were talking about Kristina's book, Among Us. So if you are watching us over on Amazon Live, Among Us is in the carousel. Go and get a copy. And if you've just joined us, if you missed the introduction to the show, we were talking about the amazing award-winning audiobook, Among Us. Oh my goodness, the voice actor is just amazing, mind-blowing. I was transported from the very minute I started listening to his voice. He kind of transports you into, another world, and each of the characters, it's so, the animation in his voice is just so rich and exciting. So please check out both the audiobook and there's also the hard copy and the paperback. So go and check them out on Amazon Live. Kristina, thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you about your book, Among Us.
Thank you. It was amazing, and go check out the game. Here. I will. Oh my God, I didn't even know about it. I will look into it, but it is.
Listen, there are YouTube videos on it.
Oh my goodness! Wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, thank you, Kristina. It's so wonderful to have you. Thank you.
So thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll be back again, same time, same next week again with another episode of the Writer's Corner live show. Take care. Stay safe, everyone.